Let me take you to a place that I've been thinking about lately. A stretch of cracked parking lot outside of an abandoned shopping mall in the American Midwest. One of those sprawling concrete kingdoms that we built back when the American dream still felt like it came with a warranty. Now the sun hangs low, orange and exhausted, as if it's seen this all before, and it doesn't in particularly like the ending. It's a paper cup rolling in the wind. The automatic doors to the mall are locked, but they still wheeze when the breeze pushes against them, as if the building is trying in its own way to breathe. And standing there, watching the shadows lengthen across the asphalt, I think of Fredrich Nietzsche. I think of that famous, often misunderstood line: God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. Now, people love to quote the first three words. It makes them sound daring at a cocktail party. But the heart of it, the narrow of the thing, if you will, is buried in what comes next. What water is there for us to clean ourselves? Must we ourselves not become gods simply to appear worthy of it? Nietzsche wasn't celebrating death. He was issuing a warning, a shot into the night sky. He wasn't saying, "Congratulations, everybody, we're free." He was saying, "Now what in God's name, ironically, do we do?" Because if you kill your highest value, if you drag the very idea of transcendence into the street and put two bullets into the back of her head, you inherit its responsibilities. And standing in that empty parking lot, listening to the echoes of a nation that used to hum with purpose, I couldn't help but feel the same mourning, that same dread. Not for God, but for America. Now, I'm not talking about the America on the postcards, the amber waves of grain and the fireworks above the harbor. I'm talking about the myth, the animating spirit, the big, unruly, inconvenient dream that made strangers call themselves friends. Somewhere along that line, we killed her. And I don't say that lightly. We didn't lose her in a tragic accident. No, this was a long, slow, very intentional murder. The kind that is committed not with a gun, but with a shrug, with apathy, with a kind of psychological laziness that lets rot take the place of human structure. We chipped away at trust. We sold cynicism like it was oxygen. We torched the notion that anything like government, community, truth, we torched the idea that any of this could be sacred. And now we stand around bewildered asking the same questions that Fredrich Nietzsche once asked. What festivals of atonement are left for us? What sacred games can we possibly invent now? But once that story dies, once the myth bleeds out, the country is just a legal document stapled to a piece of geography. You can run a nation on laws, but you can't inspire one with them. Now, Nietzsche's point wasn't that God literally died. It was that our belief, our trust, our orientation, our meaning collapsed under the weight of the modern world. When the deity fails, the world doesn't become empty, it becomes unanchored. And this is where America finds itself today. We stopped believing in the sacredness of the American project. Not the flawless, sanitized version, but the striving, messy, hopeful one. The one that said we can be better than what we really are. We can remake ourselves. We can stretch towards something larger than just our gluttonous appetites. We stopped believing that. We traded it for entertainment and outrage, for algorithmic tribes and curated illusions. We killed the thing that held our contradictions together. And here's the bitter irony: Nietzsche could have warned us. When you destroy your highest ideal, you don't get freedom. You get responsibility, crushing, inescapable responsibility. But now it's on us, friends. We have to choose the values. We have to choose what meaning we're going to write. There's no father figure, no mythic founding spirit. None of that's going to do the heavy lifting. We must become gods simply to appear worthy of it. But we haven't. We've done the opposite. We've become smaller, pettier, more tribal, and more fragile. We killed America, but we forgot to build anything to replace her. I once interviewed a man in a small town in Pennsylvania, a steel town. It used to hum day and night. He stood outside of what used to be his factory where he worked, and he said, quote, "It's like waking up in someone else's body. Nothing fits, nothing works," end quote. Nearly 20 years later, that sticks with me. Not because of what this man had lost, but because he didn't know who to blame. Was it the company? Was it globalization? Was it politicians? Maybe it was his parents' generations. Worse yet, it could have been himself. It's the same problem that Nietzsche diagnosed. When the old value system collapses, guilt becomes formless. It's everywhere but nowhere. We killed the myth, but we didn't know who the we really is. And so the blame becomes tribal warfare. It becomes a national pastime. It becomes a sport, a blood sport. Left becomes right, right becomes left. Everyone blames the elites, and the elites blame all of us. And the whole thing goes around like a carnival ride that you and I can't get off of. But beneath all of that noise is a quieter truth. We, you and I, are not innocent bystanders. You and I participated in the killing. You and I killed America, the beautiful. Every time that we chose convenience over community, every time we chose consumption over responsibility, every time we chose party over our morals, every time we chose cynicism over hope, you and I, the knives have all of our fingerprints. So what do we do? What festivals of atonement are left? What sacred games can you and I reinvent? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth. There are none. Not the old kind, anyway. Because the American myth was always a collaboration, a story that you and I told together. We argued over together. We fought to expand and to improve. If we've killed that shared story, the only way back is to write a new one. Not a political one, not a corporate one, not some sanitized Hollywood reboot. No, it's a myth made out of responsibility, the willingness to shape meaning instead of waiting around for it. It's a myth made of courage, the guts to say what we want this country to be and then actually try to build it. A myth made out of honesty, the acknowledgement that we screwed up. In fact, you and I, we were the terrorists. We killed the blow. Nietzsche wasn't saying God is dead, party on. He was saying if you kill the thing that once gave you direction, you had better damn be ready to take its place. America is no different. If we have killed her, if we have hollowed out her promises, shred her ideals, and left the myth bleeding out on the side of the road, then we have to be ready to become the authors of the next great chapter. Not gods, not tyrants, but stewards. The ones who take responsibility for the story even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs us something. So let me take you back to this parking lot. The wind has died down. The shadows have gone long and deliberate. And for a moment, the mall does not look dead. It looks like it's waiting for something. Now, it's not waiting for a savior, not the return of its glory days, but for people who understand that myths don't resurrect themselves. We resurrect the myth through action, through belief, through the everyday, unglamorous work of living out the values that we claim to hold. Nietzsche said that we become gods to appear worthy of killing. I don't think America needs gods. I think she needs adults. She needs citizens. She needs people willing to carry the weight of meaning on their backs. The death of an ideal is not the end. It is the challenge. A dare written in blood. What will you build now that the old story is gone? What will you become when the myth you tried to protect is no longer there? Are you brave enough to write a new America, knowing in full well that you helped kill the last one? That's the story of the American mythology. I'm Matt Pierce. If you've enjoyed this story, I want you to think about it. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and participate in the lecture.